chaos swirls around us with a relentless energy. Marcus Aurelius once observed that the mind can transform any obstacle into fuel. This is not ancient wisdom gathering dust. It is a vital toolkit for right now. Our modern world demands a different kind of strength, an unshakable inner fortitude that does not crumble under pressure. Stoicism offers exactly that, not as a philosophy of passive acceptance, but as a practical system for building profound resilience. By the end of this exploration, you will possess 25 distinct Stoic strategies to fortify your mind against the turbulence of life. We will uncover how to turn setbacks into stepping stones and why your initial reaction to a challenge might be your greatest weakness. What does true mental strength look like to you when everything feels uncertain? Our own judgments are the starting point for everything that follows. The ancient teacher Epictetus drew a simple but life-changing line in the sand. He said that some things are up to us and some things are not. What is up to us are our opinions, our impulses, our desires, and our own actions. Everything else is not up to us, from our reputation and our wealth to the weather and the actions of other people. This is the core of the Stoic approach to influence. True mental strength is not about struggling to manage the unmanageable. It is about recognizing the boundary between the two and investing all of your energy solely within your own domain. Think about the frustration of being stuck in a traffic jam. You cannot control the red lights stretching ahead or the driver who cut you off, but you have absolute command over your reaction. You can choose to become upset, to let your frustration build, and to arrive at your destination feeling unsettled. Or you can accept the situation as it is, use the time to listen to an audiobook, and decide to remain calm. The traffic jam itself is neutral. Your judgment about it is what shapes your experience. Where in your own life are you spending precious mental energy trying to manage something that was never within your power to begin with? That very act of judging what is outside our control is a source of endless turmoil. But what if you could disarm your anxieties before they ever take hold? The Stoics developed a powerful counterintuitive exercise for this exact purpose, known as negative visualization. It is the deliberate practice of mentally rehearsing potential changes or setbacks. This is not about inviting pessimism into your life. It is about building a profound immunity to the fear of misfortune. The Roman philosopher Seneca advised his friend Lucilius to regularly contemplate the possibility of shifts in his status, his resources, and even the presence of those closest to him. He wrote that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. By consciously visiting these scenarios in your mind, you accomplish two vital things. First, you strip the future of its power to shock you. When you have already calmly considered a professional challenge, its actual arrival feels less like a catastrophe and more like a situation you have already begun to navigate. Second, and perhaps more importantly, this practice ignites a fierce gratitude for what you have right now. Imagine for a moment the stability of your current position. Now, mentally play out a scenario where it changes. That project you are leading encounters obstacles, or a sudden shift in the industry makes your role feel uncertain. For just a brief moment, sit with that feeling, then let it go and return to the present. Notice how the very air you breathe feels different, how the ordinary details of your day now seem like gifts. This is the magic of premeditation. It does not change your circumstances, but it utterly transforms your relationship to them. What looming challenge in your life could you begin to approach with this calm, preparatory gaze? By seeing the obstacle clearly in your mind first, You drain it of its emotional charge and prepare the ground for a response rooted not in panic, but in clarity. Do not just bear what is necessary, but love it. This is the core of the Stoic principle known as Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. It is a radical shift from simply enduring life's difficulties to actively embracing them as essential threads in the fabric of your growth. Marcus Aurelius captured this sentiment perfectly when he wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." He is reminding us to accept everything that nature brings, not with resignation, but with the understanding that every experience, especially the challenging ones, is the very fuel for our inner strength. Think of a plan you were eagerly anticipating, a trip or a meeting that was suddenly cancelled. The initial reaction is often one of frustration, a sense of lost time or a missed opportunity. But Amor Fati asks you to look deeper. That cancelled plan is not an empty space, it is an opening. It is a sudden gift of time you did not have before, an unexpected evening to read a book that has been waiting on your shelf, or a chance to have a quiet conversation with someone in your home. The event itself did not change, but your relationship to it transforms it from a setback into a contribution. Can you identify one recent inconvenience in your own life, a minor delay or an unexpected change? What if you chose to see it not as a disruption, but as a hidden gift, a necessary part of your day that held a small lesson or an opportunity you would have otherwise missed? Zoom out for a moment, far beyond the walls of your room and the borders of your daily concerns. This is the essence of the Stoic exercise known as the view from above. It is a deliberate shift in perspective, a mental journey to see your life from a cosmic vantage point. Marcus Aurelius frequently practiced this, reminding himself to look at the vast expanse of human history, to see the countless generations that have come before, each with their own triumphs and personal journeys. From this distant viewpoint, your current troubles begin to lose their overwhelming weight. Consider a particularly stressful work week, where deadlines loom and every email feels urgent. In the midst of it, the pressure can feel all-consuming. Now, imagine looking back on this very same week from a year in the future. How significant will those specific emails and meetings truly be? Their sharp edges have almost certainly been worn smooth by the passage of time. This is not to minimize your present experience, but to place it within its proper context. The goal is to realize the profound smallness and transience of most things that cause us acute anxiety. Your life, with all its beautiful complexity, is a single brief story in a library containing millions. This realization is not meant to make you feel insignificant, but to grant you a profound sense of freedom. The next time you feel overwhelmed by a situation, pause and invite this perspective in. Look at your hands, the room around you, and then pull the camera of your mind back, up through the ceiling, above your city, until the entire continent is visible, a spinning marble in the silent black of space. From there, does that argument, that mistake, that single difficult day, still demand the same amount of your inner self? This cosmic view gently untangles you from the immediate grip of emotion, returning you to your life with a calmer heart and a clearer mind, ready to engage with what is actually before you. A cluttered mind amplifies every whisper of chaos into a roar, but there is a simple, nightly practice that acts as a mental sieve, separating the day's noise from its true substance. This is Stoic journaling, a quiet conversation with yourself designed to untangle your judgments and bring profound clarity. Long before it became a modern self-help trend, the Stoics were using this tool as a form of philosophical training. Seneca's prolific letters to his friend Lucilius are, in essence, a deep and ongoing journal, a record of his reflections on virtue, vice, and the daily effort to live well. He believed we should engage in a nightly review of our progress. What habit have you improved today? What challenge did you navigate? In what way did you grow? This is not about listing tasks you completed, but about exploring the inner landscape of your own mind. Think back to a specific moment today when you felt a surge of stress or annoyance. Perhaps a colleague made a comment that felt dismissive, or a plan you had carefully crafted was questioned. In that moment, a judgment was formed instantly. You might have viewed the situation as unfair or the other person as difficult. Tonight, take out a notebook and write that judgment down. See the words on the page. Now, gently question them. Was that initial assessment entirely accurate, or was it shaped by your own fatigue or pride? By externalizing this thought, you strip it of its hidden power. You are no longer simply carrying the feeling, you are observing its source. This act of writing creates a small space between you and your reaction, a space where wisdom can grow. What one judgment from today caused you distress, and what might you see differently when you give it a calm and honest review on the page? Your mind is the one place no outside storm can ever truly enter without your permission. Marcus Aurelius described this sanctuary with a powerful image, writing that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. This is the Stoic ideal of the inner citadel, a fortress of reason and character you build within yourself. Imagine a house built on a foundation of solid stone, its walls thick and its windows shuttered against a howling gale. The wind may scream and the rain may lash against the roof, but inside, by the fire, there is quiet and warmth. The storm is the busyness of daily life, the unexpected news, the shifting opinions of others, the sudden changes in circumstance. The house is your inner citadel. Its strength does not come from ignoring the storm, but from being so well constructed that the storm's intensity is rendered irrelevant. What materials build this unshakable structure? They are your practiced judgments, your chosen values, and your commitment to seeing events clearly, not as catastrophes, but as neither good nor bad in themselves. Your reason is the architect, and your virtues are the sturdy beams. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you question a fearful assumption, you are adding another stone to the wall. So ask yourself this: where is one area in your own mental defenses that could use attention? Is it a tendency to take criticism too personally, a habit of thinking about things that have not happened, or a flicker of frustration when plans go awry? Identify that single point not as a shortcoming, but as the exact place where your next act of building will begin. A fire of anger can feel like strength in the moment, but it burns down the very house you are trying to protect. Seneca, in his thoughtful work on anger, described this feeling as a kind of temporary madness, a brief loss of clarity that can lead us to actions we would never choose with a calm and steady mind. The Stoic alternative is not to become cold or unfeeling, but to cultivate a far more reliable source of power, purposeful action rooted in reasoned choice. This is the crucial distinction between being reactive and being responsive. One is a wave crashing against the rocks, the other is the steady hand on the tiller, guiding the ship through the very same storm. Think of a recent moment when you felt a surge of frustration, perhaps during a difficult conversation. The passionate reaction is to raise your voice, to interrupt, to let the heat of the feeling dictate your words. The purposeful action is to feel that heat, acknowledge its presence, and then consciously decide to take a breath. You choose to listen fully, to frame your response around the problem you want to solve rather than the emotion you are feeling in your chest. The outcome of these two paths could not be more different. One escalates conflict and leaves a trail of regret. The other, even if difficult, builds respect and finds a path forward. Can you recall a specific instance where you acted primarily from a wave of strong feeling, whether it was anger, fear, or even excessive excitement. Now replay that moment in your mind with a simple shift. What single, deliberate action could you have taken instead if your goal was not to express the feeling, but to effectively navigate the situation itself? The obstacle standing in your path is not a barrier, but the very path itself. Marcus Aurelius put it plainly when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. This is the heart of the Stoic turn, the moment you stop seeing a challenge as an enemy and start seeing it as your most effective trainer. Every difficulty arrives with a hidden curriculum, a chance to practice the very virtues that build an unshakable character. A project that ends in what the world calls failure is not a final verdict. It is a demanding workshop in resilience. It teaches you where your planning was weak, where your assumptions were flawed, and how to stand back up with more wisdom than you had before. The obstacle itself provided the training you could not have gotten any other way. It forged a deeper courage and a more practical temperance than any smooth success ever could. So look at one current obstacle in your own life, a professional hurdle or a personal friction. Now look directly into its heart and name 3 potential gifts it holds for you. Perhaps it is teaching you patience you have been lacking. Maybe it is revealing a skill you need to develop. It could be forcing you to communicate more clearly or to set a firmer boundary. The obstacle is not blocking your growth, it is actively creating it. The relentless pursuit of comfort can be a quiet trap, convincing us that a life without friction is the ultimate goal. Yet the Stoics saw this very pursuit as a dangerous weakness. They believed that by deliberately seeking out small, manageable doses of challenge, we build a powerful immunity to the fear of future loss. The teacher Musonius Rufus argued that practicing simplicity is the only way to become truly rich in spirit. He was not glorifying hardship for its own sake, but advocating for a form of mental preparation. By occasionally experiencing a minor lack, you prove to yourself that you can move through it, that your happiness is not held hostage by your circumstances. The Roman statesman Cato the Younger was known for this, sometimes dressing in an outdated manner and walking barefoot through the city, not for show, but as a private exercise in reminding himself that he needed very little to be content. This practice strips away the power that potential discomfort holds over your imagination. A simple and safe way to begin is with something as ordinary as the weather. On a day that is brisk and windy, you might feel the instinct to stay indoors where it is warm. Instead, choose to take a 10-minute walk. Feel the cool air on your face. Do not fight it or resent it, but simply notice the sensation and your ability to move through it without harm. You are not punishing yourself, you are training. You are sending a clear message to your deepest self that minor challenges are not emergencies. They are passing sensations that you have the capacity to withstand. This small act builds a layer of resilience that applies far beyond the weather. When a professional setback occurs or an unexpected financial pressure emerges, the memory of that walk returns. You have already faced a small version of limitation and discovered you are stronger than it. So what is one small comfort you can voluntarily set aside this week? Perhaps it is that second cup of coffee, the constant background noise of a streaming service, or the warmth of your car for a short errand you could walk to. Your choice is not about the act itself, but about the quiet strength you cultivate in the space where comfort used to be. If you knew this day was your final one, what small frustration would still hold its power over you? This is the heart of Memento Mori, the ancient practice of reflecting on our own finite journey. Far from a grim fixation, the Stoics saw this as the ultimate tool for clarifying your life. Seneca, in his letters, put it with startling clarity, writing that we are not given a short life, but we make it short, and we are not ill-supplied, but wasteful of it. He is pointing to a profound truth, that the awareness of an ending is what gives our actions their true weight and urgency. Think of a minor irritation from your own week, perhaps a long line at the store or a brief message from a coworker. In the grand scope of a single lifetime, these are passing whispers, but when viewed through the lens of a finite existence, their significance shrinks to almost nothing. The meditation on mortality is not about fear, it is about focus. It asks you to strip away the trivial and confront the essential. What conversation have you been putting off that matters? What project filled with meaning have you delayed starting? The clock is not your enemy, it is your most honest guide. Take a moment and write down one thing you would do differently today if you carried this awareness with you. Would you be quicker to forgive, more present with your family, more courageous in pursuing a meaningful goal? This is the practical power of remembering. It does not ask you to change everything at once, but to infuse your next single action with a deeper sense of purpose and a clearer understanding of what truly deserves your limited and precious time. A critical email arrives and your stomach tightens instantly. This immediate feeling is what the Stoics called a first impression, and they argued that our freedom begins in the brief space between that impression and our assent to it. Epictetus taught that it is not events that disturb people, but their judgments about them. The email itself is just text on a screen, a neutral piece of information. Your judgment, the story you instantly tell yourself about its meaning, is what creates the feeling of disturbance. The discipline of assent is the practice of inserting a moment of conscious pause before you accept that initial story as truth. Think of your mind as a courtroom. The first impression is like an emotional, persuasive lawyer making a dramatic opening statement, insisting the email is a personal critique or proof of your inadequacy. The practice of assent is you, as the judge, calmly tapping your gavel and saying, "I will hear the evidence before I make a ruling." You step back from the feeling and examine the facts. What did the words actually say, stripped of your emotional charge? What was the likely intent behind them? What is a more constructive way to frame this information? By catching that initial impression and questioning it, you reclaim your authority over your own inner world. Can you identify one negative impression you accepted today? Perhaps a tone of voice you interpreted as dismissive or a minor plan change you labeled as ruining your day. What new story could you tell about that same event if your goal was not to prove you were wronged, but to find a path toward peace and effectiveness? Your inner citadel needs a clear blueprint for the person standing guard inside it. Who do you choose to be when the world feels like it is spinning out of control? Stoic strength is not a vague feeling of toughness. It is the direct result of a character you consciously design in advance, built upon the foundational virtues of wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Marcus Aurelius would begin his own days by writing down reminders of what was expected of him. He did not wait for chaos to strike to decide how to act. He prepared his mind each morning, stating his intention to meet neither a difficult person nor an unpleasant situation with anything other than patience and clarity. This is the power of predefinition. You are not leaving your character up to chance or to the heat of the moment. Imagine you are in a challenging team discussion where voices are rising and disagreements are becoming personal. If you have predefined yourself as a just person, your internal compass immediately recalibrates. The goal is no longer to win the argument, but to ensure every voice is heard fairly. You might take a breath and say, "I want to make sure I understand your point correctly. Can you help me see it from your perspective?" Your action flows not from a reactive emotion, but from your commitment to a specific virtue. So ask yourself this single question right now. Which of these four core virtues feels most distant from your current life? Is it the courage to speak up for what is right, the wisdom to pause before making a big decision, the temperance to manage a recurring impulse, or the justice to treat someone fairly even when it is difficult? Choose just one. This is not about fixing a flaw, but about selecting the precise quality you will begin to build into the walls of your inner fortress today. That knot of frustration in a crowded room begins to loosen when you see the person next to you not as an obstacle, but as a partner in a shared human experience. This shift in vision is the essence of the Stoic concept of Sympathya, the profound understanding that we are all connected strands in a single, rational community. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of this, writing that we are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. To act against one another is unnatural, and it is acting against one another to be vexed and to turn away. He is pointing to a fundamental truth that our irritation with others is a form of turning away from our own nature. The next time you feel that surge of impatience in a slow-moving line, pause and look around. The person ahead of you is navigating their own private journey, carrying concerns you cannot see. The cashier is performing a repetitive task, perhaps having managed a challenging interaction moments before. You are all, in that moment, participants in a small, shared event. Your frustration does not change the speed of the line, but it does separate your sense of connection. The practice of Sympathya asks you to consciously rebuild that connection. It invites you to see the person who challenges you most, not as a villain in your story, but as a fellow person with their own perspective, a member of the same whole that you belong to. They act from their own limited viewpoint, from their own personal history and misunderstandings, just as you sometimes do. This is not about excusing poor behavior, but about disarming your own emotional reaction to it. Can you think of one person in your life, perhaps a colleague or a relative, whose actions consistently create friction? For just a moment, set aside your story about their intentions. Instead, consider them as a fellow human doing the best they can with the understanding they have, however imperfect that understanding may be. This simple act of reframing does not change their behavior, but it transforms the entire landscape of your interaction, replacing conflict with a quiet, unshakable patience. That deep ache for something just beyond your grasp is a quiet source of daily exhaustion. Much of our weariness does not come from the events of our lives, but from the relentless pull of our own wants, especially for things outside our natural influence. The Stoics identified this as a central arena for the mind, and they developed a powerful approach known as the discipline of desire. This is the practice of consciously aligning your deepest hopes only with what is honorable and truly your own to guide. The teacher Epictetus offered a simple but transformative rule, stating that freedom is secured not by fulfilling your desires, but by mastering them. He suggested we become tied to every external thing we long for, from the approval of a crowd to the holding of a certain position. Your peace of mind can be exchanged for a prize you may never receive. Consider the essential difference between wanting external validation and wanting inner integrity. The first is a hope for a specific reaction from others, a kind word about your work, a gesture of regard from a colleague, a particular level of appreciation for something you share. This want places your contentment in the hands of people whose thoughts and moods you can never direct. When that recognition is not offered, you can feel adrift and uneasy. The wish for inner integrity, however, is a hope for your own good character. It is a longing for acting with honesty even when no one is watching, for showing kindness when it is challenging, for doing your best work for its own value. This hope is entirely within your power to realize moment by moment, no matter what anyone else does or says. It is a lasting source of satisfaction that can never be removed from you. So look closely at one want that is currently causing you a low hum of concern. Is it a hope for a particular outcome in a relationship, a longing for a professional step that depends on another's decision, or a wish for a situation to be other than it is? Now gently ask yourself this question: is this want rooted in something within my complete control, my own choices and efforts, or is its fulfillment waiting on an outside event or the choice of another person? Simply noticing this distinction is the first, most meaningful step toward reclaiming your freedom from the quiet rule of a wish. Your hands are not your own to use for purely private purposes. This is the profound shift into the Stoic discipline of action, where every deed is performed as a service to the wider community. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that his role was to act for the common benefit, writing that what brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee. Your duty is to act with excellence, to pour your full effort into the task before you, while simultaneously releasing your grip on the result. The action itself is where your power lies, not in the applause or the gratitude or the specific outcome that may follow. Imagine you spend an afternoon carefully helping a newer colleague understand a complex system. You explain the details with patience, you offer resources, you give them your full attention. At the end of it, they simply say thanks and move on, perhaps not fully grasping the depth of your effort. The undisciplined reaction is to feel a small sense of disappointment, a thought that your work was overlooked because it was not met with the recognition you expected. The Stoic approach transforms this entirely. Your action was complete the moment you offered your help with sincerity and skill. The colleague's response, their level of appreciation, or how they use the information are all outside the boundary of your control. Your duty was to act for the common good of your shared workplace, and in that you have already succeeded. The reward is in the integrity of the action itself, not in the external echo that comes back to you. This week, find one small opportunity to perform a quiet act of kindness without any expectation of acknowledgement. It could be tidying a shared space, sending an encouraging note to someone who would not suspect it was from you, or simply listening deeply when someone speaks. Do it not for the credit, but for the private satisfaction of knowing you have strengthened the community. How does the energy of your action change when you perform it as a gift to the whole, rather than a transaction with the world? The river does not argue with the rocks in its path, it simply finds a way to flow around them. This is the quiet power of acquiescence, the art of accepting reality as it presents itself before you even begin to form a response. The Stoic teacher Epictetus offered a simple instruction for this, advising us not to demand that things happen as you wish, but to wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. This is not passive surrender, but a profound strategic pause. It is the moment you stop fighting the current of the present moment and instead choose to float, conserving your energy for the swim that may be required next. Imagine you are at the airport, your bag packed and your mind already at your destination, when an announcement declares your flight is indefinitely delayed. The immediate, untrained reaction is a storm of internal protest. This is not fair, this ruins my schedule, why is this happening to me? Each of these thoughts is a struggle against a reality that has already occurred. The practice of acquiescence begins when you consciously lower that resistance. You take a breath and acknowledge the simple, unchangeable truth: the flight is delayed. This is the current reality. By accepting this fact without the layer of internal complaint, you free your mind to ask the only useful question: now what? You can find a quiet corner to make a necessary phone call. You can use the time to read, or you can simply watch the flow of humanity around you with a sense of calm curiosity. The delay itself has not changed, but your relationship to it has transformed from a battle into a circumstance. The next time a minor plan goes awry, when your coffee spills or a meeting runs long, grant yourself a single moment of pure acceptance. Do not try to fix it or judge it, just silently acknowledge this is what is happening right now. In that small space of peace, you will find all the clarity you need to decide what to do next. That river flowing around the rocks is only ever in one place at a time. It does not fret about the waterfalls it passed yesterday or strain toward the distant sea it will reach tomorrow. Its entire power is concentrated in the single moment of its movement. This is the essence of the Stoic focus on the present, a recognition that chaos is almost never a feature of the current moment, but a phantom we create by dwelling on past reflections or future concerns. Marcus Aurelius offered himself a simple, powerful reminder, writing, "Do not let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole. Do not try to picture everything difficult that could possibly happen. Stick with the situation at hand. The present moment is the only territory where your actions hold any real power. The past is a collection of memories you can no longer alter, and the future is a realm of possibilities you cannot yet touch. Your strength is built right here in the tangible reality of what is directly in front of you. Think of a complex project that feels overwhelming, its scale stretching out into a distant, intimidating horizon. The weight of the entire endeavor can make starting feel impossible, but the present moment does not ask you to build the whole cathedral. It only asks you to lay the next single brick with care and attention. Your entire world can shrink to the space of that one action. Your breath, your focus, the feel of the tool in your hand, the precise placement of that one piece. Everything else fades into irrelevance. This is not a denial of the larger goal, but the only practical way to achieve it. Your mind, when anchored in the now, becomes a laser cutting through the fog of worry and distraction. Where in your own life is the noise of what was or what might be drowning out the quiet clarity of what is? For the next 5 minutes, choose one simple, present activity. It could be washing a single dish, feeling the warmth of the water and the texture of the plate. It could be drinking a cup of tea, noticing its aroma and the way the heat spreads through your hands. Do not do it while thinking about your next task or reviewing a past conversation. Pour your entire awareness into that one simple act. In that space, you will find a profound and immediate peace, a quiet strength that chaos cannot penetrate. A piece of gold does not fear the furnace. Seneca observed that fire is the test of this metal, and hardship is the test of a person. This is the heart of the next strategy, to actively use difficulty as your most demanding and effective teacher. The challenge you face is not a random event or a meaningless obstacle. It is a precisely designed curriculum for your own growth, revealing the shape of your current character and providing the essential friction needed to polish it into something stronger and more resilient. The comfortable path teaches you very little. It is the rocky climb that reveals your endurance, the confusing map that sharpens your navigation, and the sudden storm that proves the seaworthiness of your inner vessel. Think of a time you faced a significant professional challenge, a project that seemed to unravel at every turn. In the midst of it, the feeling was likely one of frustration and strain. But look back now with the eyes of a student. What did that specific hardship teach you? Perhaps it revealed a hidden patience you did not know you possessed. Maybe it forced you to communicate with a clarity you had never needed before. It could have shown you which colleagues you could truly rely on, or it might have refined a naive assumption about how things should work, leaving you with a sturdier, more practical understanding. The hardship itself was the fire, and you were the gold being tested. Can you identify the primary lesson one recent difficulty is trying to teach you right now? Is it a lesson in letting go of control, in asking for help, or in simply enduring with grace when there are no immediate solutions. Your current challenge is not an interruption of your journey. It is the most important part of the path itself. A turbulent mind is a ship without a rudder, tossed by every wave of feeling. Seneca described this state perfectly, noting that our worst misfortunes are those that never happen, yet we experience them in anticipation 1,000 times over. This is the very chaos that the Stoic ideal of Apatheia was designed to calm. It is crucial to understand this is not the modern idea of apathy, a cold indifference to the world. It is its opposite, a state of profound clarity achieved by freeing yourself from the grip of overwhelming emotions. It is the difference between being swept away by a storm and standing firmly on the shore, watching the waves with a calm and steady gaze. Imagine a sudden professional challenge, a critical system issue that affects a major project. The reactive panic is a flood of frantic energy, imagining difficult outcomes and making hasty decisions from a place of fear. The Apatheia response is to acknowledge the gravity of the situation without being consumed by it. Your heart might still beat faster, but your mind remains your own. You take a deliberate breath, assess the facts without the filter of drama, and begin to methodically address the most immediate problem first. This calm is not a lack of care, it is the presence of a deeper strength. The next time a surge of strong feeling rises within you, try this simple exercise. Do not try to push the feeling away, instead become an observer. Notice the physical sensation in your body, the tightness in your chest or the warmth in your face. Acknowledge the emotion by name, saying to yourself, "This is frustration" or "This is concern." By naming it and watching it, you create a small but critical space between the feeling and your reaction. In that space, your true power resides, the power to choose a response rooted not in the temporary storm, but in your enduring character. Words spoken in haste can echo long after the storm has passed. In the heart of chaos, our instinct is often to fill the air with sound, to assert our presence with noise, but the Stoics saw a deeper strength in the deliberate practice of silence. Epictetus offered a simple but demanding rule for conversation, advising that we should say only what is necessary and in few words. He understood that the tongue is a powerful force, and that every word released into the world carries a consequence for both the speaker and the listener. This is not about never speaking, but about ensuring that your words are worthy of your breath, that they are true, necessary, and kind. Think of a moment of tension in a meeting when a colleague makes a claim you disagree with. The immediate reaction is to interrupt, to correct, to defend your position. But restraint asks you to pause. You choose to listen fully, to absorb their point without formulating your rebuttal while they are still talking. In that space of quiet attention, you might discover a misunderstanding you can clarify, or you might realize your own position needs refinement. Your eventual response, when it comes, will be measured and constructive, not a reflexive volley of words. The discipline extends to the quieter corners of our day as well, like the temptation to join in a circle of casual talk about others, or to voice a remark about a minor inconvenience. Each time you resist that pull, you are not just being quiet, you are actively building your inner strength. You are declaring that your peace is more valuable than the temporary release of a negative comment. To truly feel the weight of this practice, try a simple experiment. For the next 30 minutes, commit to a period of intentional silence or deeply mindful speech. If you are alone, simply notice the impulse to speak about what you are doing or feeling and let it pass. If you are with others, speak only when you have something that is genuinely useful or kind to contribute. Observe the internal noise that arises when you restrain the tongue. You will feel a restlessness, an urge to break the silence, and in that very observation, you gain a new mastery over a part of your mind that usually operates on autopilot. What might you learn about your own habits of speech when you choose, for just a short while, to listen more than you speak? A quiet hum of anxiety often signals that we have drifted from our natural harbor. The Stoics saw the entire universe as a single, living, rational being, and they believed our deepest peace was found in aligning our own small lives with its vast and orderly rhythm. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, taught that living in agreement with nature is the same as living virtuously. This is not about a weekend camping trip, but about recognizing that we are not separate from the natural world. We are a conscious part of its grand design. When your mind feels tangled by worry, it is often because you have become lost in the human-made world of schedules and screens, forgetting the slower, more enduring pace of the earth itself. Step outside and find a patch of green, a single tree, or even just the open sky. Observe the steady patience of a growing plant, the relentless flow of a stream around stones, the way a storm arrives, does its work, and then moves on. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. It does not resist change, but uses it as the very mechanism for renewal. What lesson does this silent teacher offer you in your own life? Is there a situation you are trying to force that requires a more patient, organic growth? Is there a change you are resisting that could be the very thing that clears the ground for something new? Spend just 10 minutes today in a natural space, not with a phone in your hand, but with your full attention on the world beyond your thoughts. Notice the way the air feels, the patterns in the bark of a tree, the determined journey of an ant. In that quiet observation, you realign your inner world with a timeless, unshakable order, and you remember that you, too, are part of this resilient whole. Who do you hold in your mind as a picture of true strength? The Stoics were adamant that we do not have to build our character alone, that one of the most effective ways to cultivate resilience is to actively study and emulate the lives of those who have already walked the path with grace. Seneca frequently wrote of his deep admiration for Cato the Younger, a Roman senator known for his unwavering integrity. He did not merely read about Cato's actions, he engaged in a form of mental apprenticeship, asking himself in challenging moments, what would Cato do in this situation? This practice provides a concrete blueprint for our own conduct when our instincts might lead us astray. Look beyond the ancient world for a moment. In your own life or in public view, who is the person you see navigating immense pressure with a quiet, unshakable calm? It might be a leader in your community known for their fairness during conflict, a teacher who maintains patience in a demanding environment, or even a public figure who responds to criticism with dignity rather than defensiveness. This individual becomes your modern Cato, a living example that the philosophy is not a relic but a practical, attainable way of being. The goal is not to become a perfect copy, but to consciously select one specific quality they embody that you wish to bring into your own life. Is it their ability to listen before they speak, their consistency in the face of distraction, or the gentle firmness they use to hold a boundary? Choose just one trait. Then, in a moment of chaos this week, pause and actively ask yourself how that person might interpret this event. What single, deliberate action would reflect their character? By borrowing the strength of your role model, you are not being inauthentic. You are building a bridge within yourself to a version of you that is already more resilient, one thoughtful choice at a time. Our days are a finite currency, and we often spend them on distractions that offer no real return. Seneca cuts to the heart of this with a startling clarity, writing that life is long if you know how to use it, but that we are not poor in years, only wasteful with them. This understanding of life's natural limit is not a dark thought. It is the very spark that can ignite a more purposeful existence. When you truly feel the precious weight of a single, irreplaceable day, the minor fear of embarrassment begins to lose its power. That conversation you have been avoiding, that creative project you have delayed starting, that small risk required for a larger growth, all of these are held back by a whisper of what others might think. But from the vantage point of a life fully lived, embarrassment is a fleeting tremor, while the regret for a path not taken can echo for years. The brevity of life asks you a simple, direct question. Is the temporary comfort of inaction worth the lasting cost of an unlived dream? This week, choose one single thing you have been putting off because of a quiet fear or the illusion of endless tomorrows. It does not need to be a monumental shift. It could be finally scheduling that appointment for your well-being, sending an email to someone you admire, or dedicating 20 minutes to a skill you have long wished to develop. Make the commitment to yourself not as a burden, but as a respectful use of the time you have been given. What one small, courageous step will you take today to ensure you are investing your days, not merely passing through them? The ground beneath your feet is not as solid as it feels. Everything you see, from the tallest building to the most stable relationship, exists in a state of gentle, constant motion. This is not a flaw in the universe, but one of its most fundamental truths. Marcus Aurelius reflected on this with a powerful image, writing that time is like a river made up of the events which happen, and its current is strong. No sooner does a thing appear than it is carried forward. To resist this natural flow is to struggle, clutching at a moment that has already moved on. The practice of embracing change is the act of opening your hands, of finding peace not in holding things tightly, but in appreciating them fully as they pass through your life. Consider a cherished possession, a favorite mug given to you by someone special. One day, it slips from your grasp and breaks. The initial reaction is a feeling of absence, a sense that something meaningful has shifted. But the thoughtful turn is to gently question that feeling. The mug was always, from the moment it was created, a temporary arrangement of clay and glaze. Its breaking did not introduce fragility, it only revealed the truth that was always there. Your appreciation for it was never based on its permanence, but on the meaning you assigned to it during the time it was whole. This is the heart of non-attachment, not a cold indifference, but a deeper, more resilient form of gratitude that enjoys things without demanding they last forever. This applies just as powerfully to difficult phases. A period of stress or sadness feels endless while you are in it, but it too is merely a passing season in the long course of your life. By accepting its temporary nature, you soften its power to define you. So what is one thing, a possession, a title, or even a routine that you are holding onto a little too tightly today? For just a moment, practice mentally letting it go. Visualize it changing, fading, or simply not being there. Notice the slight resistance, the quiet concern that arises. Then breathe through it and return to the present, a little lighter, a little more free, and ready to meet the next change with an open heart. Mental strength is not a gift given at birth, but a quality crafted through daily, deliberate effort. These 25 Stoic strategies are not a checklist to be completed, but a forge where your character is shaped each time you choose reason over reaction and purpose over passion. Life's unpredictable moments are not your enemy. They are the essential training ground where the muscle of your inner resilience is built and strengthened. The philosopher Epictetus, who understood life's complexities intimately, offered a final, unifying thought. He said that challenges reveal what a person is made of. Your true character is not formed in moments of ease and comfort, but on the uneven ground of experience and growth. This entire journey has been about preparing you to meet that ground with a steady heart and a clear mind. Do not feel you must adopt every single strategy at once. That path leads only to overwhelm. Instead, look back over these principles and select just one or two that resonated most deeply with your current life. Perhaps it is the evening practice of journaling to reflect on your thoughts, or the morning act of envisioning the person you wish to be. It could be the simple decision to focus only on what is within your power, letting the rest flow past you without resistance. The transformation begins not with a grand gesture, but with a single conscious choice repeated day after day. We would be honored to hear which strategy you are choosing to carry forward. Share your selection in the comments below, and let us build a community of practice, learning and growing together in the timeless art of building an unshakable mind.